Hi Hannah, I just wanted to create this video to just talk about your review worksheet and hopefully give you a little help on it. I am going to have you redo this worksheet simply because you do have a quiz on this stuff and I want you to be doing this stuff the right way. I would encourage you to go back and watch my videos that I have, especially the review video that I posted this week, and that should hopefully help you through this stuff as well. But in the meantime, I would like to go over a couple questions right now on the review to hopefully clear some things up. So like on the first one, for instance, you are given an equation that is in vertex form, and the equation for 1a was y equals, I believe, x plus 2 squared minus 1. So if you remember the notes from vertex form, whatever number is on the inside, that tells us which way we're moving, left or right. If we are adding, that means we're moving to the left. Remember, if we're subtracting, we're moving to the right. It's opposite of what we think. The inside determines left and right. What's on the outside determines up and down. Since it's a minus 1, that means that we are moving down 1. So if you think about the parent function has a vertex right at 0, 0. So if we are moving our function to the left 2, and down 1, here is our new vertex. So when you're trying to find the coordinates of your vertex, if you're moving to the left 2 and down 1, then your x value of your vertex should be a negative 2, not a positive 2. Your negative 1 is correct for your y value, but your x value is not correct. So I'm going to have you go back and you need to fix 1b and 1c. For 2a, 2b, and 2c, actually looks like all of those are right, so that's fantastic. You don't have to worry about those. Here's where we get into some kind of big issues here. So this first one, you have to graph, and the quadratic you had to graph, if I just write it a little bit bigger here so I can see, is y equals x squared minus 6x plus 11. This quadratic is in standard form, and we know it's standard form because there's no parentheses there. So if you are graphing in standard form, to find the vertex, you have to use this formula here, x equals negative b over 2a. That's where you always start. You can't just pull out the vertex like you did when it is in standard form. Remember, to get your a, b, and c value, a is just your coefficient in front of x squared, so it's just 1. B is what's in front of x, so it's a negative 6, and c is 11. So I just plug that into my equation. Wherever I see my variables, I'm just going to go ahead and put parentheses there because I know I got to fill stuff in. So once I've done that, I'm going to fill in b is negative 6 and a is 1. So if we notice here, we have a negative 6, so negative, that becomes a positive 6. So we get 6 over 2 times 1 is 2, so we get 3. 3 is the x value of your vertex. Once you have that, to find the points on your actual graph here, you make a table, an xy table. 3 is the middle value of your table, and you pick x values a couple below, and you got to pick a couple above. So we'll go 4, 5. All right, so to find our y values that correspond with our x values, we have to go ahead and plug in these values into our equation. So in my equation, wherever I see x, I'm just going to put parentheses. So I got x squared minus 6 times x plus 11. So I'm going to start by plugging in 1, for instance. And this is where, if you have a calculator, you literally just plug this in exactly how you see it. If not, you can do PEMDAS to simplify, but you should get 6 as your y value. You then would go back, you'd erase or write another equation. I just like to erase, and now I'm going to go ahead and plug in 2. When I plug in 2, you should get out as a y value of 3. Again, just simplifying this right here. I keep going, I do the exact same thing. Now I'm going to plug in my next x value, which is 3, which is actually the x value of the vertex. When you plug that in, you should get 2. Again, keep repeating that process, and just for the sake of this video, I'm just going to say this is 3 and this is 6. I did that work a little bit faster. Once you have those points, this is where you go ahead and graph. So you plot your point at like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Your graph is kind of small, so it's kind of hard. 1, 6. We go 2, 3, 3, 2, 4, 3, and 5, 6. There's your nice U-shaped parabola. So from there, when they ask you all the questions about the vertex and all of that jazz, well, the vertex, that's right here. It's just also this middle value of your table. So your vertex here, you should have said 3, 2. Is the vertex a max or a min? Well, right here, it's the smallest point on my graph, so it's definitely not a max, it's a min. I agree with your domain, all real numbers. For range, remember that's our y value, so we got to think about how high and how low. Well, there's arrows on the top, meaning it goes up forever, but it looks like it goes down to a y value right here, a y value of 2. So we say for range, y is everything bigger than 2, or y is greater than or equal to 2. Axis of symmetry, it's a line that cuts straight down the middle of our quadratic that goes right through our vertex, this line right here. Since it's a vertical line, it's always x equals. So in this case, it would be x equal to, it goes through the x value of 3. And the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. If we remember from class, the y-intercept always has an x value of 0. Notice my graph right now doesn't cross the y-axis, but that's okay. Doesn't mean it doesn't have one. It just means we haven't graphed far enough yet. So to find my y-intercept, I can just plug in 0 for x. When I plug in 0 down here, 0 and 0, looks like I would get 11 for y. So that's where it would cross my y-axis at the point 0, 11. So that's my y-intercept. Again, when it is in standard form, you have to find the vertex using this formula first. Put that in the middle value of your table. Then you have to plug in other values to get points on your graph. I also want to look at one in vertex form just so you get a little review of both. So if we look at number 5 here, a little bit. So 5, the equation was y equals x plus 4 squared plus 3. So again, this is vertex form. We know it because there's parentheses there. So this tells me that we are going left 4 and we're going up 3, which you have the vertex perfect, -4, 3. However, from here, before I answer all these other questions, I would go ahead and again, you have to make a table to graph. The vertex is always the middle point in your table, so we already found the vertex. That's the nice thing about vertex form is you don't have to use that formula like standard form. Then we check a couple points above and a couple points below. Again, you plug these right into your quadratic just like we did before. So where x is, that's where we're plugging stuff in, so I'm going to leave that blank. So I get y equals x plus 4 squared plus 3. So from here, again, I just plug in my values. So I'd first have to plug in, it looks like a -6. And then you just simplify. Again, if you have a calculator, plug it in exactly how you see it. If not, that's okay, you can do it in your head, but you should get 7. Then I do the same thing, except now I'd plug in, instead of -6, I'm going to plug in -5, my next x value. When I do that, I should get 4 out as my answer. Again, you do the same thing with now I'd plug in -3. Again, you should get 4. And then if you plugged in a -2, and I'm just doing this quickly, you should get 7. From here are your points. So you go ahead and graph. It looks like you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 7. There's a point, -5, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, about -4, 3. -3, 4. And -2, 7. And I connect my points. Nice U shape with those arrows on each side. So from here, you go ahead, you answer your questions. Your axis of symmetry, you said x equals 4. Well, x equals 4 is over here. So not quite that far over, but you get the idea. It's over here somewhere on the positive sides. It shouldn't be x equals a +4. It should be x equals a -4. So don't forget your negative there. Does it open up or down? It opens up. It's a U. Right? The opening is to the sky, so we'd say up. Since it opens up, that means my vertex down here is not a maximum value, it's a minimum value. Your range is correct, all real numbers. range is close. The 3 is part of it, but we have to say y is everything greater than or equal to 3. And then G, it says describe the transformations. Well, that's just this up here. You just say left 4, up 3. That's all we're looking for. And then there's my graph. Hopefully this video helped you out a little bit. Again, I'd like you to redo the review worksheet because you got a quiz on this stuff and I got to make sure you know how to do it. So please redo this. If you have any questions, let me know and we can try to meet up on Zoom, or I can try to answer your questions again over email. And yeah, please watch those review videos again. I think that'd be helpful. Thanks, Hannah.